Welcome to the Idiot's Guide. I'm Mackie Hall, and every time we build a project, we're faced with what color model to build it in, RGB or CMYK. So what's that mean? Why do we have to build in different color models when everything might look exactly the same on screen? So let's give you a definition of these two color models. RGB is known as an additive color model. That means it adds light to black. Red, green, and blue are primary colors of light and are added together from dark in various ways to reproduce the color array. That creates an image. CMYK is a subtractive color model, meaning it subtracts light from white. It's based on the CMY color model, which is exactly the opposite of RGB. CMY stands for cyan, magenta, and yellow. K, or black or key, is used to add depth. Again, these colors are added together from white in various ways to reproduce the color array and create an image. All right, so what does that all mean? Why are they different, and why should you use one color model or another? In short, if you're building anything for use on screen like a computer monitor, device, phone, or TV, go RGB. If you're building something to be printed either personally or professionally, use the CMYK color model. You can print to a sheet of paper, a brochure, a book, billboard, does not matter, go CMYK. So why bother? Why not just build in RGB or CMYK and then output in the other model? Don't. When you build in one model, your computer sets colors accordingly and you have exact control over the color. When you switch color models between build and output, your computer winds up translating, guessing, with oftentimes not so good results. Check it out. Note the color shift that takes place between RGB and CMYK. Put them side by side and you can tell the difference. Things like this can get bad. Imagine if you built something in RGB, then have a massive run professionally printed in CMYK. Colors shift and you're stuck with a crappy project and a big bill to pay. Don't take the chance. All right, so now that we're done with tactic, how do we set up in Illustrator or Photoshop? Let's go ahead and show you. Let's go. All right, let's start off with Adobe Illustrator. First thing we do when we want to create a new document, we'll click on New File, and then we'll go ahead and set our new file. We can go any element on top from Saved, Mobile, Web, Print, Film and Video, or Art and Illustration. For this case, let's go ahead and click on Art and Illustration. We've got some blank document presets, as you can see right here. We're going to set our own width and height. We'll select our width and we'll set it at 1,000 points. We'll do the same thing with our height right there. We'll set it at 1,000 points. Next thing we'll do is we'll select our advanced options. We'll scroll down and then we can check the color mode. If it's the color mode that we want, we can go ahead and set it, or we can click on more settings perhaps. And then we can set our color mode to either CMYK or RGB. In this case, we're going to stick to RGB since we're going to screen, and we'll select Create Document. There you go. Let's change gears a little bit. What happens if we've created our page already in one color mode and we want to output it in another? In this case, our sample has been created in CMYK. All we need to do to switch modes to RGB is go to File, Document Color Mode, then switch on over to RGB. There you go. Let's switch on over to Photoshop. In Photoshop, to create a new file, all we need to do is select New File, and then select from any of the presets that we want. In this case, again, we're going to go with a width of 1,000, a height of 1,000, and then we can go set our color mode right here. If we're going to screen, once again, we can select our color to RGB. If we are going to print, we can select CMYK. And of course, if we want to go to black and white for either print or screen, we can set to grayscale. In this case, let's go ahead and select CMYK color. Click Create. There you go. We're all set. What if we want to switch color modes in Photoshop? In this case, our file is set to RGB. If we want to swap over to CMYK or any other color for that matter, we'll settle for CMYK for right now. All you need to do is go to Image, Mode, then select CMYK. Click OK, and we're all set. Here's another one. What about spot colors? Spot colors are used in print, not on screen, for when you or your client has to have the exact color in your printed piece. A spot color is a color that is printed from one plate, which contains one matched color of ink. It is an exact color. What's that mean? Let's take a look at the IBM logo. IBM has a very specific blue that they use for their logo. From the Pantone color guide, the printing world's main color guide, it is PMS 2718. In RGB, that color build matches to R75, G107, B175. For CMYK, it is C75, M43, Y0, K0. Notice that neither of these three color builds look exactly the same. How do you know you can nail the color? Use the spot color. Now that we know that, how do you get a spot color into a piece in Illustrator or Photoshop? Let's show you. Let's go. To swap over to a PMS color, again, we're using the IBM logo in Adobe Illustrator. All we need to do is to do the following. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to swap over our color model from RGB, as you can see here, and let's make sure it is at CMYK. The way we do that is we go to File, Document Color Mode, and let's select CMYK. Once we're done with that, let's grab our selection tool and let's select our art. Once our art's selected, let's open the Appearance window. You can do that either by selecting Appearance window on the sidebar by clicking there, or of course by going Window, Appearance, or Shift F6. Once our Appearance window is open, let's go ahead to the bottom left-hand corner and let's select Add New Fill. With our Add New Fill button selected, let's click on our fill. Let's go ahead and go to the bottom left-hand corner of our color picker and select Swatch Libraries menu. Once we've got that open, let's go ahead and select Color Books. Again, we're using the Pantone Solid Uncoated book, so we're going to select that. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to do a search for our color. In this case, we'll select our search bar and we're going to enter in 2718. Again, the color that we're looking for is PMS 2718. So we'll double click on that and we've added our color. All we need to do now is close out our color menu, deselect our file, and we're done. How do you get the IBM spot color in Photoshop? This time around, it is a little bit different. So let's get started. First thing we're going to do is we are going to change our color model from RGB to CMYK. The way we do that is we go to Image, Mode, and we will select CMYK. In this case, we'll select Don't Flatten because we've got our image set to layers. Click OK. Once we're done with that, what we want to do is we want to go ahead and open up our Photoshop Layers, Channels, and Path Quick Access menus. What we want to do is we want to go to the bottom right-hand corner of our page, which is set to the Essentials workspace, and select Channels. Before we do so, note that IBM is set in its own layer. That's important. Again, the next thing we want to do is we want to select Channels. Once we've got that, let's go ahead and select our IBM logo just like that. We're using our rectangular marquee tool to do that. To isolate the logo shape, we're going to hold our Control key. We're going to arrow up and down once just like that. Note that only the IBM logo is selected. Now that we've got that, you'll notice that in the Channels menu, we've got 5 channels. Again, CMYK, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. So we want to add a new channel here. Here's how we do that. We're going to go to the right drop-down menu. We'll click on that. And instead of selecting New Channel, which is our first instinct, what we'll do is we'll select New Spot Channel. So we're going to name our channel. We'll write in Pantone 2718U for uncoded. And before we do anything else, we'll select our color. We'll click on color. Notice it defaults to red. And then we'll select color libraries. Before we start with anything, we'll select the book that we're going to be using. In this case, we are going to be using Pantone Solid Uncoded. I'll select this and you can see how many other libraries we can see. Again, we're going to keep it at Pantone Solid Uncoded. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to search for the color. The easy way to do it is just to key in the color number. Again, 2718. There we go right there. And we'll click OK. Once again, we'll click on OK for our new spot channel. And notice in the channel drop-down in the bottom right, we've got a new channel entitled Pantone 2718U. Also notice that our blue is much brighter. Now, if you look into our channels, well, all the other channels have the CMYK color. If we deselect all the channels with the exception of Pantone 2718U, you'll notice that while it's black and certainly not visually representative, we can output only this channel and we will be able to print this spot color. All right, last thing. So how do you know what a spot color will look like when it's printed? Get a Pantone color guide. You can get it directly from the Pantone website or through various online retailers. I've got one and use it all the time. All right, hopefully this little piece arms you with another bit of information to build your next great piece for either screen or print. With that being said, if you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below. Otherwise, throw me a like. I'd really appreciate that. Otherwise, subscribe. I'd appreciate that just a little bit more. We'll see you next time. Peace.